morning state of the company, state of the industry, I get those names wrong, but the morning meetings, with the main presenters are, tons to take away, and then, yes, the classes are, I mean, you figure out what it would cost to go and sit down with somebody who's a dominant power player in a specific niche in our industry that you think you might want to do. Reach out and ask them what they charge for coaching for an hour, and it'll make that ticket seem pretty cheap.
That's a really good point.
Right, so
Yeah.
it's an opportunity to see I think there's 6 breakouts this year. 6 different professionals at a high level who are willing to tell you what it is that they do, and it only costs you $1,000 plus travel. It's cheap coaching.
Yeah, and is this stuff you implement in your business, or is it something that you see as like a future where I want to get here? Or did you just take stuff away and go, this is something I can put in my business right now?
Year 1 was probably less focused than year 2, right? Year 1, I just want to go see, and then year 2, specifically target classes based on what I wanted to implement in my business, if that answers the question.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, Justin. So what's your experience with family reunion so far?
Well, last year was my first time,
Mhm.
and it was great vacation. So if anyone wants a vacation and needs to go on vacation,
It's
But-
business.
that your parents will have to watch your kid. Great one. I went down and like I drank from the fire hose and like, I'm gonna do all of these things. And I wrote like pages of notes. And I will not do that this year because those notes did not get implemented. So there's like so many great ideas, just like Dalton was saying. I'm like, this is amazing. And I didn't do it.
I think
And why not? Why didn't you do those things?
Well, I got an eye infection. I don't know if anyone knows that. But I had to like buy a hat because the lights were like, it was awful, you guys. And then I came back with an eye patch, so some things come back from Vegas.
Not everything stays in Vegas.
Not everything.
that's
no.
the reason why I was watching.
No, I just tried to do. I think this year, I mean, I booked my ticket earlier and then like last year was like a month and my commitment phobia, like I was like 4 months. So I feel like I'm doing really good there. Was to like only take like this many notes instead of. Like I was looking on Steph's page half the time. I'm like, oh, you're writing good stuff.
Well, and then the fun thing is we got done and that night we sat down as a group and went over, what did we learn here? Like, so we took a lot.
Yeah, but I was just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like took too much. So if you're going for the first time,
3 things.
3
Sure,
things.
hot number.
So like you pick a strategy of what you want to learn or something you're trying to take away.
yeah, that I'll actually do. And if I'm not gonna actually do it, I'm not gonna put it off.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
And then Steph, you've been a couple times.
A few times.
Every
Right.
time you go, do you have a big takeaway or is it just a bunch of little takeaways?
I get a lot of little takeaways and then I bring back and I will implement just those few. Because if not, you're gonna learn from a lot of people, but it's the emotion you come back with. You're gonna leave with, oh, I had too much to do. I didn't fold the laundry or take care of the kids or something. But it's the fact that when you go, you're gonna come back with that energy of the top producers. And I'm not kidding when I tell you this, I implemented just a few things. One, we put our MLS printout of what the stats were that next week on Monday. And then we just asked, hey, who's looking to buy, sell? I have 6 appointments we can put you in this week. We did get 6 listings and sales from just doing that. So
That's awesome.
family reunion just for that, that was,
It sounds like part of it though, is it just fills you with energy. I know from our leadership retreat, I was kind of going in. It's hard sending emails all day. I don't love it. But coming out of it, it kind of just excites you again about the goals you're doing and you just kind of want to work harder. That's kind of my takeaway from our leadership retreat. Mhm.
yeah. Well, and, I mean, just figure out a little nugget. The other thing that we do, is we went to a class about social media and how to work your social media and how to like event. And so that was another one that we took away with, send out a year in advance what your events are. People will start calling you and being like, hey, I know there's Red Bash coming up. When is it?
And that's something you implement, right?
Yeah.
Because you had like 40 people at Cookies with Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40 families. So it was fun. I can't wait to get that.
That's awesome.
So,
And then Jesse, we'll kind of change the tone a little bit. Rather than business stuff you pull away, what is family reunion to you as an experience? Is it just fun the whole time, or do you show up as and it's business?
Oh, it's so much fun. I'll be honest, that's one of the main reasons why I go is that those getting to go to the conventions are the funnest parts of this. I mean, there's lots of fun things that we do, but for me, that's the funnest thing is because you go and you learn something new and you implement it and like you guys were saying, you absorb that energy. And then you also get to like experience all these different experiences in these new cities or in these fun cities with new people. You get to know people a little bit better. You get to develop relationships, like stronger relationships. And I'm like, it sounds kind of weird because I'm not like a super intense relationship person. I feel like I have a different relationship that's like different with each person. I don't have like a close knit friend group type of thing. Like I just am kind of, I feel like I'm spread wide, but it gives you that opportunity to keep growing wider and wider and seeing that bigger vision for what we do as well, because there's so many people doing so many different things in so many different areas. You get to see, like, when you do sit down and have those conversations with agents from other areas, you get their takeaways from what's happening that may be coming our way, or maybe we've already experienced something similar and we're like, oh, hey, here's how our industry ended up dealing with that. I mean, the NAR changes and I mean, if anybody's been on Facebook and have, some of the questions that people ask are really alarming because it's like, what are you doing? Where's your training, and so there's opportunities there for us to bring the good things about Utah, because Utah is obvious, like we some of the things you hear crazy when you go to these things, but it's an opportunity to exchange ideas, and you do see that bigger vision, like why we're here and why we do what we do. Like a lot of people just think of it as a career or as a job and their side money, and the reality is what we do is we protect people's personal property rights, people's largest personal property rights. And so it gives you that opportunity to see that bigger vision. It's the same as going to the NAR conferences. Although I think that family reunion, since I've been now, is actually better than the NAR conferences because one, it's way larger. Your opportunity to meet referral partners is so much larger, and with absolute certainty that they have the same mindset and systems in place that you have. So you're not going to tell somebody something and the other agent's going to be using a completely different method, like they're going to say something very different. So that's another reason. So I mean, basically the camaraderie that we build with our team, getting to go, the fun, and then that larger vision and referral partners. Honestly, like it's really neat when you can friend somebody on Facebook and now you're getting to see all of what they're doing somewhere else. And
Yeah. Well, that's probably the most important part of the business is referral partners and
Yeah.
using command.
Oh.
I don't think anyone generates business without command.
What I will do if I have a referral to send out because of Women's Council, because Women's Council is the largest referral network in the United States, honestly. So what I would do is I would search on Women's Council and then I would search on KW and I would find somebody that had both of those that were in both of those organizations and send my referral to that person. So, I mean, honestly, and I would only send a referral to somebody that has a filled out profile. Like
Yeah.
how filled out is your profile? Like get on there and fill it out because otherwise your chances of getting a referral are basically nil. You should have your command referral profile.
That's on Thursday, right?
Yep. Then my last question for all of you is, you guys have a plan going into family reunion of something you're looking to take away? Or is it you're going in and you want to see what classes are offered and then you'll find out what to your business?
I think it's both. I think it's both. something that we wanna learn, cause we know what our goals are for the next year, cause we've all went to, you know, the class with Rusty and Marcus. So we know what we want, but when we get there, there's also so many other amazing opportunities. We changed classes like a few times, right? So.
You always do get a nugget, like a nugget there, you're like, oh, this is the nice little kick in the pants that I needed to get going on in a new area, in a new way. I feel like, because you already have your plan set out, I feel like it's at the perfect opportunity to say, okay, what am I not implementing already a month in? You know,
Yeah.
what way could I shift that I will implement things a little bit better?
What was the question?
Are you coming into family reunion this year with a plan, or are you just gonna go and attend any classes that look fun?
Last I looked, they don't have the breakout sessions up yet, I don't think.
They won't,
So that's the final part of the plan, is take a look at what classes I intend to go to, but like, you know, run a SWOT analysis on your business and, you know, focus on those weaknesses and match those weaknesses up with classes pertaining to that would be like the general advice. For me, for example, my weakness is follow-up. It's not a business I've lost because I'm just
You're the only one.
shitty at it. Yeah, I know, the only one ever, but that's where my focus for this year is processes and follow-up. And they kind of will then right now overlapping this there. So that'll be what I target for sure.
A little epiphany a couple of weeks ago, just about the referral business, like you do a consultation and pass it off to somebody that's amazing and you get money. Like there's a lot of opportunity there for referrals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even coming in, somebody's done half of the work to lead gen for you. They're handing you something hot and ready to go. So that's something that I want to implement in my business, making those connections. Honestly, so this is an idea, because I've been to a bunch of them through Women's Council. I like to do a card that has my contact information, that has a QR code that fills out a little bit more information, like be my referral partner, gives them everything that they need about me. And then I also like to, you want to stand out a little bit. So I stick a Utah sticker in there. Sticker from Utah. So if I sit down at a table and I happen to have, or next to somebody and I happen to have a really good connection with them, I'm like, hey, it was really great to meet you. Here's my contact information. I'd absolutely love to connect with you further. And it's just that opportunity, like easy. It's easy because we all like being around each other and doing, it's, what did I say to you, Justin, yesterday? There's other people and there's real estate agents. And so there are people that are there. So it's easy to make those connections. I'm going to lean really hard into that this year.
Awesome.
I think, I judge people. I'm the only one ever that judges people, so just get it out there. I remember sitting there, I'm like, how are they getting business? Like, not an idiot, but like.
Not an idiot,
But you kind of are.
But you kind of are, and the difference is they're like doing the things, like I'm writing it down, and if I just do it.
And
then we sit I could too be that idiot.
Like I sat through a class where they were talking about doing buyer seminars, and these guys that are up there are kind of goofy car salesman type of guys.
How are you getting this?
Making so much business. Like I feel like I see right through your goofy car salesman, like weird, but it's the consistency and then the confidence. Like they just have this confidence, and I'm like, okay.
And they just do it, like they just say the thing or they do the thing, and that's what's, anyway. Yeah. So
Awesome.
I'm just gonna take like the things I'm actually going to do.
And actually do them.
Mhm.
What I call it.
Let's get together if you guys want to when we get back. Like, seriously, we'll sit down, everybody that goes, bring in your nuggets, let's work them together, maybe once a month. And we can be accountable for each other.
Or build it into
your 411.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Then do you guys have any questions for our panelists before we let them go?
Anybody want to judge before I leave?
Yeah, Ron?
So Justin, you mentioned being super overwhelmed because of the great information you got and how to process that.
Mhm.
How would you be more ready this time to not be so overwhelmed, still get the best and put it on practice and have like a strategic plan.
Yeah, I think that's a struggle, right? It's like, what's the one thing?
And that caught my attention because I'm super overwhelmed right now. Like the amount of great information that we have in this brokerage is amazing.
Yeah.
And Allison and all of her coaching is great, and yet
It's
I'm like
okay.
super overwhelmed.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I'm thinking, well, how can I be an asset
Yeah.
before I ever make it to family reunion, if that's part of the plan?
I know. So you answer.
Yeah, we have 3 tips back here.
I think you pick the class. And you're writing the notes and you're like, okay, like these 5 things I found interesting. But what's the one thing that you're gonna do? Like, what's the one thing that, I mean, they wrote a book about it, but truly like.
It's your Pareto principle
Like,
item, like
yeah.
what's the difference that's gonna do 80% of your business, it takes 20% of your.
Or what's gonna get your ass off the couch, right? Like,
To be excited.
like for me to go to the gym, if I put my shoes on and get in the truck, then I'm going to the gym. And I'm going back to bed with my shoes on. Like if I have this assignment to say, oh, I'm gonna send birthday messages to these people on Facebook, then I'm gonna like be doing business. So it's like the one thing that I will commit to do for 6 months to see it through. I think that's, and then, yeah, you can have all these notes, but take that, just that one thing that be like, all right, I'm gonna leave this class and I commit, I'm gonna leave this day,
Yeah.
and just do. Cause a lot of these things that they do, it's not like rocket science. They like turn on the camera and start talking and they get business.
Yeah.
And I don't turn on the camera. And I don't get as much business. So like just little things, yeah.
The other thing I would say is I take a lot of notes. And so I composed every single day with just a little bit. So I only had 1 page at the end.
Well, if you sit next to Steph and you see her writing a bunch of stuff, you see, it's like great stuff, so then you start.
And then Steph's just doodling over there.
No.
saying, I wanna see my grandkids when I get home.
Oh, then hour.
Yeah.
Rhonda. We've all been overwhelmed, we've all been right where you're at, you're right in the bell curve, man. Without leads, you don't have business, so my counsel would be start there. If you know how you're gonna lead gen and you know the process, great, we can move on. Most of the time, that's not real refined. So if that's something you want to dive into, it's worth a trip to family reunion to sit through the people who are the, professional farmers, the people who are professional expired, cold callers, the people like SOI people, social media,
Parties.
probate and referral, like there's 1,000 ways to get leads.
You know,
Pick 3 that you think you might be interested in doing, go learn from the pros.
And the reality is you're gonna be overwhelmed
Yeah.
the first time, no matter what. Like, I don't wanna say that I don't get anything out of it anymore, because I definitely do get a lot out of it, but like, there's a lot of the same things once you go multiple times, you learn the same things over and over and over again. Oh, I should really be doing that. That's working for people. And then there's a new idea that pops up and you're like, that's the one for me. You know what I mean? But if you're not going and you're not exposing yourself to it, you're not gonna come across that one idea that may be your whole linchpin for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
So you
And then it's
actually do.
inspiring too, like, because you're hearing these, some people will tell you their numbers and you're just like, oh, like, wow, it's so attainable. And then, like I said, those guys were really goofy at that seminar, but like, I was like, they are real people and they're doing this good. I'm a real person. I can do that good.
There are
Yeah.
social media people that just, I'm like, you can't even form a sentence and you get like all this business.
That makes it sound like there's idiots teaching you and there's not.
There's
There's not.
very well
There's,
vetted,
yeah,
actually.
oh yeah, like, it's just kind of funny because they're real people, I think is probably like the biggest thing about it is they're real people.
It's because they have adversaries.
Jerry?
So Jen and Kaylee had comments, I'm curious about what that was regarding his, and then I definitely wanna speak to that after you girls have what you were thinking. So I joined Keller Williams and a week later they dragged me to take it. I was very. You like kind of have some lead time there? No, I think the biggest thing would be looking at the agenda before you even step foot in your car or plane to get down here and actually look at it. Because of my first year, I was so overwhelmed because they all looked so good.
And I'm like, oh, I just need to go to all of them. And then I also was like, oh, I want to go with Justin. And so then I'd go with whatever classes he did and like kind of be with their comfort. So my advice is look at that before and actually tailor it to your business of this year. Because to me, I'm like, oh, I need an assistant. And so I'd go to the assistant class when it was like, it was not the time. So take a look at your goals and what you need to do next year. And know that those classes are going to be there the following year too. But then kind of have a guideline of what you want to do before you even head down.
And if you get in there, you can, and you're not getting what you want out of that class, you can leave.
Yep.
Do a different one.
Yes.
Or, and don't be afraid to be independent, like, it's all in one building,
Yeah.
giant building, like, don't cling to the group, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can cling to the group if you want to. But like I was talking about referrals, like, if you're clinging to the group and only sitting with people you know, you lose some of that opportunity, so don't be afraid to branch out, meet new people. And be prepared, like, blink. People are gonna have blinks, people are gonna have all these other apps, get your stuff ready to go, so that when somebody comes up with you with a new app for sharing info, that you're ready to go. Blink is the, like, that was the big one last year.
Challenging team.
Yeah, we will have best practices with
Yeah,
the
Yes.
people enrolled before we go, because these are some great suggestions. However, if we collectively as a group come up with the best practices from all of us, we'll be able to make
Still-
anyone who's new timer go
Yeah.
and get the best out of it.
Yeah.
And they're very educated, sorry, I didn't mean to come in comment. The real difference is they're just doing, they're like doing the thing.
So say, yeah, do a best practices about 2 weeks before. And I wanna say, cause it can be overwhelming, but remember it's a choose your own adventure. And I think that in the beginning, I felt like I had to go to every single thing all day long, every single minute. And we'll talk about best practices when we get there, but like a lot of them are repeats. So maybe you don't need to go to it on Tuesday, and maybe the best thing for you on Tuesday is to like push pause for a minute and go sit in the lobby with a coffee, meet someone that's maybe doing something you want to do in another state, or also just compiling your notes and saying, okay, out of today's class, pull up the one pager, because you'll get one pagers with a lot of them. Pull up the one pager of the playlist and go, okay, here's my notes that I'm going to actually go implement. So I think sometimes the overwhelm we put on ourselves, because we think we have to do every single piece of every single thing from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And the reality is, like, it's your money you're paying to go. So just focus on a couple of things. You don't have to be in every single thing. So, but we'll talk through all those best practices. I think Jenny, then Chris, Sherry, then Christy, then we got to wrap, because you guys, I
Yeah.
want you to speak personal perspectives, and we're gonna not have time for it.
Okay, mine's really quick. I was just gonna say, you know, once you realize your personality, say for example, you love social media, you're already there, then maybe dial in and go to those classes that have to do with something you already enjoy. Or if you don't, if you're like, I can freaking call if somebody hangs up on me that I don't know, then who cares? Then go to that kind of class. Make sure it's something that you're diving into that you're gonna resonate with and enjoy, so it's organic. And definitely look at the list beforehand.
And we'll do that in best practices.
Yep.
Sherry, and then Christy, you guys each talk.
So two
That's the
quick
one.
things. Number one is about all the gazillion nodes, and there's like, I don't know, 20 something on the other countries, that the biggest nugget. Is you've got all your notes, but make sure the biggest thing is that your very last page, your notebook is literally your quick action. So it's like, oh my God, you've got all these notes, but you don't have to dig through them all. They quickly need to flip to the back, and oh my God, this is a massive action take. That the second I get home, then you can look back and figure out how.
Take
Where
the
the
plane
notes
ride
are.
home and build that out.
Your
That's-
action list
Yep.
again. The second thing now after gazillion family reunions and mega camps and other countries is the biggest thing that I've done that's changed everything is not pushing the speed so fast getting out, because everybody, thousands of people are heading to the airport. Literally, whether it's taking the rest of the evening or the rest of the afternoon, whether it's one extra night and then getting a wicked cheap morning flight when no one's at the airport, whatever, is then you literally have quiet, because your head is so full and so fast. To have quiet to, before you get back, you're already figuring out your implementation strategy. It is so worth, whether it's one extra night, other people are usually staying because that's their, if they want a party night, whatever, you go party, I'm gonna stay in, and we literally brain dump the implementation strategy to process everything you just learned as much as you can, so before you ever get back, you're not going back squirreled in 1,000 directions.
And we'll go.
That has been the biggest thing ever.
Sorry to wrap.
Rusty's dying. Let's get,
I'm like,
close the chapter, move on.
Cause here's the
Get out of
thing, our team put together some good content, and I want to make sure you're Chrissy, last comment.
Last, I was just gonna, basically what Troy just said is schedule, like, for one extra day, either stay in town. And because when you get back, like, you got it like business, you will not implement any of it. So literally your calendar, schedule that implementation time, whether it's you stay at in Vegas for an extra day, or you come home, but you don't let anyone know you're home. And one, like, barricade yourself to wherever you can be away from your phone and all the things, and you'll really use that one day.
You'll never get the time back.
You won't, and it will propel you so much faster.
Yep.
Okay, love it. All this will be covered in our best practices.
Before Rusty can get off, I want to put a note out there for anyone going, I need a class where you can find out how to get more engagement on your email.
So will you please bring it back to Bradley?
I need
Thanks,
to-
Bradley. Thanks, Bradley. Just read the compliance, don't make calls outside a TCPA friendly way. We're gonna jump into the sixth personal perspective. Our team members all prepared something for their own personal perspective that they're gonna share with you today. Did anybody that was on the fence about family reunion decide to go today?
Mostly off the ways.
Mostly off of
Yeah.
what Justin said.
Just so you don't get judged by Justin.
Just so you don't get judged. I'm telling you, there's never been a time I walked out and said, I wish I didn't attend.
Right.
So I promise you, you'll find value. Sign up, do it soon, because you've got less than 2 weeks now until that code goes, until the price goes up again. Also, one last really quick thing, don't forget to find our little elves around the office with our faces, because for everyone you find, you're gonna get a ticket. And if you tag us on social media, you'll get an extra one, but it's for year-end cash, so you don't wanna miss it.
When's the last time you guys took 6 personal perspectives?
6 months ago.
6 months ago, we talked. Was it here?
Eden,
Eden, solid.
right?
Is there,
Wasn't it?
who knows the first one? Well, of course, I'm gonna teach the first one because it's my favorite. Commit to self-mastery. What is the definition of self-mastery? A master of what? What, in any key field, how many hours does it take to be a master in that field?
10,000.
10,000 hours. Do you guys think you have 10,000 hours in real estate right now?
Yes,
So are you masters of your domain?
no.
All right, so how do we get there? We're gonna clarify this specifically. Love this quote by my boy Ralph. That which we persist in doing becomes easier. Not that the nature of the task has changed, but our ability to do so has increased, right? We always make the gym analysis. Do the weights get lighter? What happens? All right, we're gonna exercise some muscles in this. Oh, sorry, go ahead. All right, we're gonna exercise these muscles and become self-masters. So when's the last time you did a self-assessment of where you are? We just had our year-end training planning, and a lot of you have reached out wanting to get clarity on what you're trying to do. So to understand where you have to have a self-reflection and sit down and go, what are my goals? Like if you don't know it inside and out, the why, the how, all of that, you have to be extremely clear on what are your goals. 2, how are you doing with your goals? This is where the 411 comes in, a weekly accountability. How are you doing with your goals? And I think one of the most important is 3, how do you feel about your goals? If it is not something you want more than anything in life, the why behind it, the clarity of it, are you going to create the mastery to achieve that goal? I think it's awesome that we have a vision board coming up. Like if we can get more clarity, the more clarity we have starting January 1 of the how, the why, this one is big. 4, what will my future look like if I don't achieve my goals? We learned that one of the biggest aspects of gaining momentum is this thing of fear, the fear of missing out, FOMO. We always hear about this all the time. It is twice as powerful to lose out on something than actually winning something. So what will your future look like if you do not achieve these goals? Understanding this, to be clear on this, then moves us forward. This is a self-mastery exercise. How many of you have done this before? List at least 3 obstacles that might hinder your achievement of your goals. Like Ron, I think the interaction we had with family reunion, you're talking about all the hindrance. I keep hearing the same word a lot lately, and that's what? Overwhelmed. So if we can define the 3 obstacles that will keep us from achieving those goals, now we know in which direction we should move. What strengths do you feel that will help you overcome each of those obstacles? Something that was just brought up to me the other day is, what if, could our strengths also be our weaknesses? Do we get in the way of our own self and our own strengths? Why is that? Why don't we think we get there?
if you don't believe in your strength.
I would say everyone that I have conversations with, one of their obstacles, what do you think it always is? Myself. I'm gonna get in my own way. So how do we clarify that? How do we do that? How do we create that exercise where we will not get in our own way? What weaknesses do you have that might hinder you from overcoming these obstacles? How can you conquer them? Are the obstacles movable? Is there something you can master that will help? So interesting, everyone knows I see a therapist every single week, and you guys all make fun that there's not a book that I haven't read. It was interesting, my therapist brought up, I started quoting from one of the books that I was reading, and she's like, just stop. I know you understand and have knowledge of all this. You're listening to everyone else. Have you ever had a chance to listen to you? What is your voice? Of all the knowledge that you've gained and all the things that you think you know and the things that you master, have you listened to yourself? That's why having these personal inventories with yourself are crucial. And so one of the things, I think I mentioned this to Christy, like one of the things that I'm doing is having dialogue with myself of questions that I want to answer, not what Warren Buffett said or Brene Brown or whomever else that I've been reading from. Like, what is my inner voice telling me? When you listen to that inner voice, you can now bring up the obstacles that you can do. Is this making sense? Discipline, consistency, and persistence trumps talent every single time, right? We've heard this especially a lot in the sports world. Not a lot of people know this about me, but I used to be a fantastic basketball player. I know the size may not think that was be a big surprise. You guys are old enough to remember Jeff Hornacek at the Jazz, right? So 3 years in a row, I went to his camp, and 3 years in a row, I won the best shooter award. And so I got to spend a day in his workout, and it blew me away, the persistence, consistency, and dedication. He was a slow white dude, but his game translated so well just because of the consistency and persistence. Self-mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. What's the number one thing as a real estate agent should be your number one focus? Lead gen, but getting what? The appointment. So I think if that's not in your goals and progress, the number of appointments is your number one objective. What does it take to get those appointments? How many calls to get those appointments? How many lead gen sources for those appointments? Appointments, because we can track all of our success year in and year out. Those who master self are detached from the outcome. Self-mastery is not worrying what happens. It's focusing on the now. What am I doing in the next 5 minutes? What am I doing in the next 30 days? Not what's going to happen, 12 months from now. The goal is there. Self-mastery is focusing on the now. You know your goals, you know your strengths and weaknesses, how to work with the strengths and weaknesses to reach their goals. Time on task over time. Solution focused and focused on the now. Runner up, let's go. 80-20 principle.
Sandy was right this time, congratulations.
Yep. I'm all.
Started a timer, that was awesome.
Okay, so when you hear about the 80-20 principle, so when you hear about the 80-20 principle, what do you think about? What comes to your mind?
How everybody calls it the 80-20 principle instead of the Pareto principle, and I'm like, nuts.
Maybe nuts. Well, when I,
Don't call it.
Well, I'm just being honest, that's
the first time I heard the 80-20 principle, it was about sales. 20% of the salespeople do 80% of the transactions. Is that still the case?
Yes.
And a lot of the 20% of our company is sitting in this room. So you guys are a testament to that. That's not what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to be talking about what are the big rocks? What are the big actions that you need to take on a daily basis that's going to move your work forward? So this jar right here represents your workday. Okay. And at the beginning of each day, the workday is empty. You haven't done anything that day to fill up your day. So as realtors, we need to focus on big rocks. Okay. What are the things that we're going to do on a daily basis that's going to fill up our day and fill it up in a meaningful way? The handout that I just passed around talks about our focus should be with our 411. So when I first came to the brokerage 2.5 years ago, I'd never filled out a 411. I'd never seen it. But the first year I filled it out, one of my goals is to become CE certified. So I did that because it was on my 411. I became CE certified. Now I have 10 classes.
that I can teach. The second year on my 411, I put down that I wanted to start buying nightly rentals. And I did that. This year, my 411 says I want to get into real estate development. And so every year, whatever I put on my 411 has come to fruition. And if you're not doing a 411, don't know how to do a 411, get with us, okay? So that we can help you with that process, because you get what you focus on. So on a daily basis, we should be focusing on those big rocks that help us be successful that day. So in your opinion, what are some big rocks that we should be filling our day with? And these are our big rocks. These are our golf balls. Lead gen. Okay, and how do we lead gen? Okay. And so we can focus on calling others. We can call FISBOs, we can call expireds. We can do lead follow-up. Lead follow-up is a good way to do that. Going on appointments, okay, what else?
I think before any of that work stuff, I have to start my day with something to fill my own bucket so that I can do those things.
And how do you do that?
Either meditate or go for a walk, empty my brain before I kick in.
Good, I like that. I like that a lot. I do a gratitude journal.
Right.
I journal each morning. That's on my headboard. I don't have the Repsy or the code of ethics on my headboard, but I do have a gratitude journal, because I think this is a very stressful business. And doing compliance is very stressful, because every phone call we get is an opportunity. And so we have to kind of psych ourselves out at the beginning of each day in order to get up and feel good about coming to work, right? So we want to start by filling our day up with our big rocks. So lead generation, listing follow-up, listing generation, okay? So is that a pretty good basis to our day? Does that look pretty good? Is our day full? No, it's not full. Looks pretty good, but it's not full. There's other things we can do to help fill our day up. So we can take little rocks and we can do other activities that will help fill our day up, okay? So we can do conversation mastery. We can do contract management, which Sean and I really love. You guys doing your command and all that stuff, okay? You can also attend CE classes. That'll help with that. So are we full yet? No. What else can we do? What are some things we haven't talked about to help fill our day up? How about social media? Can we do social media? By the way, we didn't mention it this morning, but we have the chief investigator for the division coming here on January 29th to talk about social media and do's and don'ts with social media. So write that in your calendar.
That's for more club.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forget that. My bad. Okay. Yeah. Become part of more club, so you
don't want to be the target.
So what are some other things we can do to fill our day up? We said social media, right? So we can do likes, we can do shares. Okay, what else can we do? Showings. Okay. How about going to closings? That looks pretty good. So our day's full now. So the point of the 80-20 is that you need to start your day with the big rocks, the things that are going to make you money. Lead generation, lead follow-up, listing generation, those kinds of things. And start your day, you spend 20% of your time doing your big rocks, doing your golf balls. That will translate to 80% of your success. That's why they call it 80-20. Spend 2 hours a day working on lead gen, the big rocks, and then fill in with all this other stuff, okay? The compliance, the mastery, the CE classes, all that stuff, and the social media. And you'll be just like this jar. You'll be full to the brim, and you'll have more business than you know what to do with. Thanks. I don't have show and tell like Ken did. And thanks for upstaging me already. Let's see.
You need
Okay.
to dance for us.
What's that?
You have to dance for us.
I'll do a dance for you. Okay, so I get to talk a little bit about moving from E to P. What is E to P?
Entrepreneurial to purposeful.
Entrepreneurial to purposeful. Does anybody here see themselves as an entrepreneur? Yeah, most hands should go up, right? Right? Most of you are here because, I don't know, maybe the 9 to 5 didn't sound so good, you know, you didn't necessarily want to do what somebody else told you to do all day. You sort of had this idea about what your life was going to look like, right? For the purposes of this conversation, what do you think entrepreneurial means?
Natural ability.
That's a perfect description. Yeah. Yeah.
Adaptation.
Say it again.
Adaptation.
Adaptation. So this is really an interesting concept. We start in a business like this because we're entrepreneurial, right? And now we're being told to move away from that. What are we talking about here? So what we're trying to be is we're actually trying to move into a way of being purposeful about our development and our objectives. A couple of definitions of purposeful. Any action taken with a deliberate intention of a goal in mind. Behavior oriented toward towards or guided by a goal. Behaviors consciously directed towards achieving specific outcomes. You can see that what we're doing by moving from E to P is we're actually taking a great idea and now we're starting to give it shape and give it definition, right? To achieve a specific outcome, okay? The challenge is that our natural skills and behaviors actually have a ceiling, right? So I want to share with you one of my goals for 2025. Very serious about this. One of my goals for 2025 is I want to become a world-class rock climber. Okay. I have a few concerns. I'm terrified of heights. Okay. I've never climbed anything in my life. I haven't spent years practicing. So I don't have the strength of a rock climber. Okay. So how far is my natural ability at this point going to take? Not too good, right? So I think I'm probably just gonna go ahead and start on Half Dome. I think honestly, I think it's been shown that it can be free soloed, right? So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and start there. What are my chances? It's not gonna go too well, is it? It's gonna sort of suck. At the end of the day, has anybody seen Free Solo, the movie, right? So Alex Honnold, as a kid, looked at Half Dome and started to set some goals around climbing it. And in his youth, Half Dome was a mountain that had been climbed over the course of days by teams who were roped in and who were building on each other's progress for years before finally somebody got to the top. Okay. So Alex Honnold decided he was going to do it different. What did he do? Christy, you're nodding in the back.
Pretty solid, like, and no ropes, no nothing, it's like, that's.
Yeah.
That's a big show.
Yeah. He literally did it in record time. It was within like hours, where previous records were measured by days. Okay. He did it with no ropes. And he shattered what people thought could happen in the world of climbing. Right? Was it just all natural ability? No. I mean, part of it was obviously he had some gifts, and that's why we're here, right? Because there's a real natural amazing ability to be here and to do this. But he had to very purposefully develop a skill set.
What's that? I was asking Justin if he was an idiot. I just wanted to know. So real quick, how do we break through our ceiling? Okay? So if we want to become purposeful about what we're doing, a few ideas here. Focus on the top 20%, right? What's most important? Ken just illustrated the big rocks, right? What's most important? Be strategic. Is there a better way to do what you're doing? Do you feel like you're not getting results? How can I change that? Use models, training, and mentors. MERA come to mind? Anybody? Family reunion, maybe, getting some mentors, training.
Keep really fun.
What's that?
Plug it into.
Install systems, using checklists and time blocks, and certainly using accountability. We've talked about the 411, measurements and partners to help you be accountable. So these are a few ways that we can actually lock in and move our natural talents that are going to cap at a point to actually bust through our ceiling and actually get to the top of Halfville, right? Okay, thanks.
Love it. Really good, exactly on time. The minute you finish, my timer went off.
I think about even later now.
Yeah, for real. Thanks, guys. Sorry.
Who's ready? Or,
So to build off that, we've been talking about education, continuing education all day. What is family reunion about? Education. We're gonna go learn something. We're gonna learn how to make our business bigger and better. So when you start, you don't know what you don't know. Ron, you don't know what family reunion is about, right? Because you've never been. You don't know that. But if you go, now you know what you don't know. We just keep building off of it. There's some examples up here. You don't know how to drive, so you don't know how challenging it is. Once you start driving, you might figure out parallel parking is maybe not that easy unless you're just like a champion little race car driver. I don't know. Yeah, you can just drift into your parallel parking spot. But then you have conscious competence. At that level, you're applying wisdom to your knowledge and you're moving up to level 3. You're now knowing what you don't. We have all these amazing people that have been to family reunion. They keep going back. They keep wanting to learn more. And we keep hearing it's the same classes over and over again. But how many times have you heard the same thing over and over again? And the third time, you've actually listened and implemented something. So now, or watched a movie, you've learned something, you've heard it over and over and over again. And then finally one day you're like, oh, maybe that makes sense. Maybe I should actually do that. You know, maybe I should take my action. Maybe I should do what I've been saying I'm gonna do. But over time, with additional practice, your competence becomes a habit. And then you're moving on to level 4. You're now competent. So we want to build this we want to build education into your action plan. Keller Williams alone has several different ways to become action-based and learning-based. We keep talking about MREA. All of our new agents get an MREA book. Learn it, love it. You'll hear us reference everything all the time. It comes out of one of the books. Gary Keller, The One Thing, Bold, Mega Agent, Family Reunion. It's all things we constantly are hearing about. So how do you become learning-based? What's one thing you want to implement to help yourself achieve a goal? Write it down. I want to see everyone's pen move. Good job, Golden, your fake pen. But write it down, seriously. If to become learning-based, you have to have an action and you have to have hold yourself accountable, or find an accountability buddy. Do a 411. Build these things into your life, and then you have no excuse. Life's an excuse. It gets on top of us sometimes. But if we have the education behind on how to move forward, we can be successful in our businesses. I don't like it.
Okay, so on the 6 personal perspective, what I talked about is removing limiting beliefs. We all have them.
So when Ken was filling up that thing, you guys were like, oh yeah, he can't put all that in there. Have you seen that in reverse where you put the last thing in first? How you really can't put all of that in there, right? So that would be a limiting belief. So we're gonna go through this little exercise. Do I have this up here? Next slide. Is there one more? Oh, no, I guess there's not. Okay, so I'm gonna borrow this. Okay, so give me an example of what you in your world is a limiting belief for you. Throw it out there. We say this stuff all the time. I don't have enough time. That's a common one. What is one you said? Someone can do it better. What's another one? You don't believe you're capable. Oh, they don't believe. Okay, are those limiting beliefs? Are you capable?
Yes.
Do you have enough time?
Yes.
What was the one you said?
And.
Someone can do it better. Who can do it better than me? Right? Okay, so we're gonna do a little exercise. Some of you are cheating because you're already reading through these, filling it out. Hold, please. Take your pen. Hold your pen up. I'm not starting till you guys all hold the pen up. Okay, hold your pen up. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. I can see whose eyes are open. Close your eyes. You guys remember, my eyes are open, yours are closed. Close your eyes. It is fun. I know, I get this. It's super fun. You guys, have I ever been sitting in a team meeting with my eyes closed? Now, wave your magic wand, which is your pen, around. I want you to clear your mind. Now open your eyes and write down a limiting belief that you tell yourself every day. Oh, sorry. I stole your sheet. I don't have it. Is there an extra sheet I can? You can. You can do all three, you can do four. I want you guys to, at minimum, do at least one. Everyone got at least one? People are still writing? You need more time? Okay, so does someone want to share what they wrote?
I'm not good enough for a higher price point.
You're not good enough for a higher price point. Okay, that's awesome one to share. Anyone else have that same one? You guys copy each other?
Well, I said I am clients already are attached to it.
Okay, kind of falls in the same category, right? It can, or can. Okay, so what is something that she can do to remove that limiting belief? Just remove it. Who sets the standard? Who sets the standard on what your value is, what your worth is? Yourself, ourselves. We put that on ourselves, right? So you are worth it. You are way worth it.
One thing that is, like, for example, I bought my home, let's say it's 150,000, and over 3 years now it's worth 700,000. So, you know, that's the same place they were in. It was $1 million. They were 500.
Do a frame shift.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, who wants to share another one?
I don't have enough discipline.
I don't have enough discipline. What does discipline come from? I'm not talking about the principle or the lunch lady, right? Where does it come from? Your choice of schedule. It's the consistency of doing it over time. You get better at it, right? And then the stuff that we focus on expands. Therefore, we focus on the right habits, right? And the next thing you know, we blow through it. So I want you guys, you all wrote down at least one item. I want you to write the steps that not that you could take, but that you're going to take that will remove that limiting belief, at least on one of them. No copying. You gotta own your own. That's why we did the close your eyes exercise, not cheat off your neighbor.
Just do it.
Okay, I can see a lot of pens are down. Some people are still writing. Who wants to share their limiting belief along with what they're going to take action to change it, to remove it, to bust through it? Kenneth, this is Kenneth, everybody.
Hello, everybody. On the, put not enough time. I put, time block, scheduling better and stick to the schedule.
Yes, yes, that for years, I had that same issue. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm working around the clock. I'm not having a life. And so I'd be frustrated. And then I learned, right, you got to become a master of your schedule. And I put everything in there. And this is going to sound dumb, but I put picking up dog food. I put on their grocery store. Oh, I got to take my truck in. I put on there, change my filters in my furnace. Like I schedule that stuff. Like I could tell you when I got to go pick up dog food next because of my schedule. Because I just follow my schedule. And then after I got everything in my schedule, I learned I'm always late, right? Does anyone know that I'm late? It's a joke, right? Because I'm almost always late. So when someone, I have to do the calendar invite with someone, let's say Tim, Tim's like, well, I thought that appointment was at 12:30, not 12. I'm like, oh yeah, forgot to tell you. I have to schedule a half-hour drive time or whatever it may be, because sometimes it's an hour if the appointment's in, say, Salt Lake, right? So I schedule the drive time too. So that helps me be more on time. Then this last little while, I've been reading a book or listening to a book because I do better when I listen. And it talks about creating the time before you shift into that next appointment. So tweaking it a little bit to where, like, let's say we're walking into ALC, but I'm running from this phone call and from this appointment, I run into ALC. Is my mind? No, it's not there yet. So it's busting through those limiting beliefs that I do have enough time because it's not only scheduled, I've now scheduled the time to create what I call the windshield. So there is really, Jenny asked me to come look at one and we're going to talk about it, but one of them, do you mind if I share? She's not sure how to solve it, but I'm tired. I'm worn out. Like, how do we solve it? So a lot of it is being vulnerable enough to share that with someone to help get a different set of eyes, if you will, on it to solve an issue. What you feel is a limiting belief. Because we all have them. right? The idea is to bust through them. Okay.
That's just solve.
100%, 100%. There's nothing that's not solvable.
Like limiting beliefs, you say things to yourself, and there, a lot of you have said things to me, and I say, that's a horrible affirmation. Because when you're saying that, your brain says, oh my gosh, I'm tired. So I really do have a habit of like flipping those upside down and changing them into something positive, and I say it as if I already am that person. So I wake up every day with amazing energy, would be a good affirmation for you. And I know that sounds so silly, and people are like, oh, just affirm it away, but it really does make a big difference.
Especially over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially.
You do it in the morning, do it at night. Yep. I am a master of my schedule.
Master schedule my
Yep, yep. Okay,
Okay.
thank you for participating.
Awesome. And now wrapping up, the one and only
Your guys' favorite.
Allison Bragg.
Accountability.
Let's go.
We love accountability.
Who's afraid of accountability? Yeah, tell us why.
It's painful to be caught out when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's painful.
Well, then I had to commit something and I'm in trouble for something. Like, I don't know if all these things.
Being, I think mine's the fear of success through accountability a little bit too.
You have to keep doing it.
That and just like what can come, and then that's a whole slew of other issues. I might as well stay comfortable with the issues I have.
Do you guys think,
I want no more money problems. I'll be honest.
Me too.
do you guys think that, being afraid of accountability is a limiting belief?
Yeah.
It's funny how all these personal perspectives tie into each other, right? So we're gonna talk about an accountability loop, but I wanted to, they talk about the process on page 299 to 302 of our favorite book. So that's where I pulled a lot of stuff from. But in the dictionary, accountable is actually just means obligated to explain, justify, and take responsibility for your own actions. And answer to someone such as a person with more authority. So that second part is probably the scary part, right? Answering to somebody with authority. And you should have an accountability buddy, like Lauren said, but you can also be accountable to yourself through things like time blocking, like your schedule, different things like that. What are other ways you guys can hold yourself accountable?
Writing your thoughts out.
Yep, writing your goals out. Jamie?
Okay, my self-affirmation, I always hear my brother-in-law's voice. He always says, get your shit together, Jamie. So if I'm running, I have states where. All the stories.
Oh, I now I'm totally lost.
My husband and I would say that to each other when we spiral out, like into our, like, we get lost in what the real goal is, and we spiral into the fear, we would say that, get it together. And now I say that to myself about, like, get it together.
I would say tell your child that just take them to Disneyland to get your goals. 'Cause that really
Put your
gives
kids with
you-
accountability.
It gives you really heartache if you can't go to Disneyland. What are you saying?
Yeah, and then if you tell your kids, ask me every day if I did my job today, and if we get this many no's, maybe they get something, but if you get yeses, you go as a family to Disneyland, that way they're motivated to ask you every day.
Well, no, they were going to Disney, so you had to figure it out.
Yeah, you can book a vacation and then you have to make the money to pay for the vacation, right?
Numbers.
Yeah, tracking your numbers. Can you be held that, and we're gonna get into that really, can you be accountable to something you're not tracking?
No. How do you know if you're winning?
Or losing?
Scoreboard.
Mhm.
You gotta have a scoreboard.
You gotta have a scoreboard. So I made some ways you can be accountable. So they're not so scary, because really you can just be accountable to yourself. You've got to set goals. You've got to know where you're going. So you can know what you're being accountable to along the way. You've got to track your numbers. You've got to maintain focus, and then you're gonna have to refocus. It's not always gonna work out. You're gonna say, I needed to make 100 phone calls a day to meet that goal, and I don't have that time. Like Ken was saying, like, I don't have the time to make that many phone calls a day. So maybe I need to refocus. Do I need to change the lead generating? Do I need to hire out some lead generation? Do I need to
Or what do I need to do? How could I refocus that goal? You can use your GPS or your 135, or a 411. You can get a coach. You can even get an accountability buddy. And then, one of my favorite things, Lee Stern actually taught an accountability portion of the 6 personal perspectives, and she taught in there, you could even change your own language. So instead of saying, I can't make the phone calls today, you need to say, I'm choosing not to make my phone calls today. You need to take your own responsibility. Like the definition of accountability is taking responsibility for your own actions. So you can do that by changing your language. We say a lot, you'll hear Sean say all the time, instead of saying but, say and, because 2 things can be true. It doesn't need to be an excuse. So accountability is ultimately just getting and using the feedback to reach your goals. So accountability doesn't have to be scary because it's your goals and it's just feedback. And I cannot find this anywhere online. You shared it with me, so I screenshotted it. But there's an accountability circle. So hold yourself accountable to stay on track. So first you're going to set goals and identify the key lead measures. So we know that through business planning, your goals, and then ultimately how many appointments do you need to set each week for buyers and sellers. That would be a lead measure. You're going to do the activities you've got to do, and then your lag measures are going to start to show up. So how many listings did I take? How many closings did I get? You're going to measure your results. If you are talking to a ton of people and you're not setting the appointments that you need to set, what do you think you need to work on? Right? It's not necessarily just talking to more people. So if you're not tracking, you won't know what you need to work on. So you got to measure the results, and then you got to evaluate the process and say, is this working for me? So I like, I think Justin said about the family reunion stuff, implementing it for 6 months, because really then you can, that's enough time to evaluate the process. Is this going to work for me? Is this going to work for my business? Is this going to work in my schedule? Is the process working? Do I need to make a tweak? And then make the adjustments. And then you just keep going through that little accountability loop. And then, so if you guys want to get accountability partners with each other, one of my favorite pages, and Tim kind of talked about this, his questions are a tiny bit different, but on page 167 is the consultative interview. So it's, what was your goal? How did you do? How do you feel about that? Based on how you did, what is your goal this week or now? And what do you need to do now? And then asking yourself, is there anything that might keep you from doing that? The goal, like, is there some, like, look for those minefields in advance. Is there anything we've got to handle to make it work? And if you need training or support to do this, what is that training or support you need? And you can ask these questions to yourself. They are more powerful when you ask them to each other. So I think sometimes when we're like, get an accountability buddy, you guys are like, I don't even know what is that going to be like? Hey, I didn't do my job again today. Like, or hey, I did my job again today. It's got to be a little deeper. So these questions, it's right in our handbook. I love it. I'm like, I think I'm done.
What page is that?
167. On the right side. Okay, anybody want to get accountability partners in this room with anybody?
I have accountability buddies.
That's it. I know. Dalton said yes, and Patty said yes. Yep, so if you guys want to create, even, so this really can make your accountability phone calls in 5 minutes. They don't have to be, you do not need to schedule 30 minutes for
I
accountability.
want to say something about that. So Kathy Moore, many of you know her, she was a team leader at this office when I was in South Ogden. And she and I had a morning call, and it was before our morning huddle, and so we knew it had to be a powerful, quick meeting. And we would get on the call, and it wasn't, hey, it wasn't the fluff and stuff of all the things that we were talking about. Because I think what happens is we sometimes shy away from the hard questions or accountability. And so we want to get on the phone and catch up instead. And our rule was, we got on the phone, whoever's turn it was that day to start out with the script. We were both team leaders. We would start out with whatever our script that we were going to be calling on was that day. We'd get on the phone, whoever's turn it was, we flipped off every other day. We didn't flip off, but we flipped sides every other day.
Some
If
days.
it was my turn, I would jump in, I would jump right into, hey Kathy, it's Rusty with Keller Williams. I wanted to invite you to, or whatever my script was for the day. She would have objections for me. She would script it back to me. We'd do affirmations, and then we'd get off the phone. So that phone call was less than 10 minutes. We'd script, we'd affirm, we'd say, have a great day, love you, talk to you tomorrow, and we'd get off the call. So it can be as quickly as that. And it doesn't need to be every day. For us, it was every day because we were incorporating script practice with, if you guys don't know, Dalton's doing a high level script practice every morning. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why the hell that room isn't like overflowing with people. Because this is so many of the complaints I get is I don't know what to say. So I'm not sure why that room's not overflowing, but Dalton's built that in for you. And you can have an accountability buddy that once a week you meet and go through these questions. And it can be a quick call. Because I know the one thing that all of you are thinking right now is I can't add in one more thing, or I can't put in another appointment. So that can be a quick accountability call that you just run through the questions with each other and you're on to the next thing. What are you gonna do better next week? You're on to the next.
So how come only 2 people wanted it, or 3 people wanted accountability partners?
Oh, I bet people more want to, you can talk about it at lunchtime.
Limiting belief.
Yeah. And then I just say on page 302, he says, one final thought on accountability, frequency matters. The more you try to achieve, or the greater the personal growth you seek, the more frequent your accountability needs to be. So in business, a monthly review of activities, production, and financial performance is the minimum. So you're gonna decide, you don't have to have an accountability buddy every day, but you could do it monthly or weekly, however often your business really needs it. And I know agents that have multiple accountability partners, so that so that if one slacks off. Cause we do, right? We're human to be.
Front load your accountability. And a coach, throw $1,000 a month at a coach, and when they give you stuff to do and you're not doing it, just as a thought, it hurts. You're going, what am I doing? I probably need to find the time for this, just as a thought.
Yeah.
I had a coach for a long time that if I didn't have my 411 done, for our Monday call, our calls were on Monday, if I didn't have my Monday call done, it would say, okay, well, it sounds like you have something that you need to do before we can meet. So you've got the next 30 minutes to work on your 411. But I got in that habit really quick because I wasn't gonna pay $1,000 to just like sit and by myself and think about what I did. Like you sit in the corner and think about what you did. But
For
to me, that
$1,000
was
a month.
important for me to have that, right? And I tell you what, that happened one time of that happening, because there was times where I was like, oh, I got this done. Happened one time that he said, cool, talk to you next week. You've got 30 minutes back to work on that today. So anyway, thank you. Okay, yeah, we have Jared, but first I want to just, everyone give a big round of applause for our team for teaching. Sadly, for putting together an amazing panel. It's not easy to get up and teach in front of all of you because you guys are amazing people and it's hard to get up and teach. So I'm so proud of everybody that did that today. Thank you very much. And Jared. With this. You're up next.
Cool. Okay, thank you. Can I put this right here? You guys already know me. I recognize some of the faces. Some of you guys I don't really recognize, so you guys probably don't know me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm just gonna give you a quick introduction. My name is Jared Menace. I do real estate photography. We like to say real estate media because we don't just do photography. We do videos, drone photography, drone video, 3D tours, some more stuff as well. Our main goal is really to help you guys make money. That's really what it comes down to, is to kind of give you guys the content that you need to be able to put your listing out there and market yourself efficiently. Obviously you want to represent your own listings appropriately. You don't want to ruin the curb appeal of your listing with bad photography or
And I
bad
would say
content.
something too, good photography really affects your personal brand as well as an agent. You want to hire a professional who can give the same quality.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what I like to talk about a lot of times too, is that's what we help you with too, is the personal branding. For you guys, you obviously represent yourself. You represent the house itself that you're listing in the neighborhood, and you represent the sellers too behind it. So being able to show good face from the very beginning is going to be really important for you guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know that. But for those of you guys who this is probably the first time, you hear that, yeah, it does make a big difference. And so that's what we really help you with, right? It's from the get-go, kind of get a strong start. That's where we come in. This is my contact card, that QR code right there. For those of you guys who don't already have my contact information. Going into the new year, what I have set up for you guys is just $100 discount code. So this goes for if we work together or If you're new to working with me too, that's what I got you guys set up with today. That way, for those of you guys, especially who haven't worked with me, it's a good opportunity to kind of give it a go. You know, if you don't already have. But yeah, I don't really have too much for you guys today besides just kind of being here and showing face and shaking hands with you guys. Go ahead, Jenny.
Jared is the best photographer. It's not just taking pictures, the way he does his videos, and you can do reels, he's different than the others. He does have an eye for how it's gonna look on the receiving end. And so just, he is hands down the best I've ever used.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Sean. Before I did this, sorry, you got a question? I was just gonna say, before I did this, I actually did videography professionally. I did social media content for a couple years before niching down into realistic photography. So that's one of the reasons too, is I didn't really start from nothing. I had a basis, so that really helped me kind of in the last few years propel me forward and really catch fire with the business. So it's been awesome. Yeah.
I was gonna say, one thing that a lot of people may not know is the marketing kit you have available.
Yeah.
It's really kind of sets you apart. If you have a photographer you're working with already, they take it next level of like, here's templates for all the social media stuff. I mean, everything you need, so you don't have to spend more time on the marketing.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah, so that's one of our big things that we offer that not everybody offers. Some people have their version of it, but generally speaking, not everybody offers it, is our marketing kit. So our marketing kit, what it includes is a virtually edited twilight photo. So like this one, this is one of the photos that you get with it. You get a listing website. Do you guys do listing websites here in Keller Williams already? Do you guys already do that? Okay, cool. We include that in case you don't do that. So for the brokers that don't do that, that comes in handy. And then we have the actual marketing kit, which what it includes is it's pretty much, who's used Canva before? Okay, good amount of you guys. So it's kind of like a Canva system, but it's built into our website. And so when you get your photos and your video and all that stuff, you get the separate page we call the marketing kit that pretty much recycles all of it and turns it into pre-made social media content. It's customizable, so if you do want to mess around with it, you can do it, but if you don't, you don't have to. All the information is already plugged in. Listing, the MLS number, the pricing, all that stuff's already plugged in. So it makes it really easy for you guys to kind of just plug and play if you want to do that. But that's kind of, yeah, that's the marketing kit right there. Do you guys happen to have any questions for me?
Are you gonna hang out for a minute?
Yeah, I'll be around for a minute, so. But yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys. This is your, so that's your QR code link for your booking site, and then that's for you guys, Keller Williams KW100. That's to give you guys $100 off your next shoot. That's for you guys specifically. So this is your guys' link for the booking website. You can take a photo of it if you want, and then that's my contact card if you guys want to save that for later. But yeah, I'll kind of just be hanging around, floating around for a little bit. And there's some food in the back, some wingers in the back, so enjoy. Oh, and thank you guys for being here. The week before December is always super slow. So yeah, good on you guys for being slow.
Give it over, Jared. Thank you so much for being patient, waiting. I know you're gonna hang out for a minute for anyone who has questions. Because it is our last meeting of the year, just a reminder, we're still gonna be here the rest of the week. But we are seriously so grateful to be in business with you. I know we say it all the time that we're proud to be in business with you, but we really do mean it. Every single day we focus on how we can bring you value. So thank you. Have a wonderful holiday season with your family. If you are in fact checking out for the next 2 weeks, we hope we see you. And then also don't forget to find our little Elfies around the office. Okay, thanks everybody. I know, because I'm kind of a petty
Snob?
Yeah.
I love it too.
Yeah. They're not.